Welcome to Tournament in a TeaBreak. There is no Renee today, unfortunately. Renee's a little bit poorly, so get well soon. But we do have...
Reem Abulleil.
Hello! So, aren't you lucky? And well, for those of you who've been watching, somewhat bizarrely, Caroline Wozniacki and Daria Kasatkina have teamed up with the tennis union and actually forced play to be stopped. I actually think there's probably a fair bit of light. They could have probably got another, 20, 30 minutes.
I think it's difficult for us to tell from the stands because at the end of the day, they're the ones who have to see the serve. And it's not just that. You also need the line judges to see balls properly. And in the very, very end, in that last game, Wozniacki felt like a Dasha ball was out and it wasn't called out. And you don't want to get in a situation where the players don't even trust the line judges anymore because they don't feel that there's enough light. So maybe it's not the best thing because the forecast tomorrow is not great. So it just adds another match to the lineup. But, if they can't see properly, it's going to feel really bad if they had continued and someone's losing or someone's leading and they feel it's unfair. I don't know.
As you gathered, we've actually started with the last match of the day, of course. But, it still has all the hallmarks of a real treat of the match. I mean, there were some real moments of brilliance from Daria, and there were also some real moments of stupidity, to be fair, and not to use bad words on the podcast. What do you reckon?
I just think I'm surprised that Dasha hasn't been able to hit her forehand throughout most of the match. So,
it was one.
Yeah, she surprised herself when she hit that one and then flopped the drop shot. So, Dasha can definitely do better on her forehand side, and that's been the bizarre part of that match. First set was a bit back and forth. Was actually served for the set, right?
Mm-hmm. I think so, yeah.
And then Dasha broke back and took it in the breaker. So, in general, I always feel that Woz is a good matchup for Dasha. Dasha is someone who has a lot of variety, and the more variety she brings, the more she troubles someone like Woz. But also Woz is playing with a lot of confidence throughout this tournament. She's playing like nothing is bothering her. She's playing like no one sees her as a contender, and she kind of likes it for once.
I think, and a lot of, it's interesting. In Madrid, she was telling us that she doesn't like the clay. Of course she can play on the clay. She's a very consistent player across all the surfaces, but that it almost gives her too many options. There's too much for her to think about. And I wonder whether she's actually been doing a little bit of mind games and actually setting the scene that I don't like clay, I'm not good at clay, so I'm not going to expect to be good at clay. And actually, she's been in pretty dominant form and escaping a lot of the view. To be honest with you, this is the first time I've actually had a time to actually sit and watch her. Because there's been so much other drama going on. Anyway, in terms of drama going on, it's been quite the day. Another person who's been kind of under the radar, very low key, is Madison Keys, who's actually, I think, yet to drop a set. And she's been looking in very good form. And when you consider, I think she finished last year 1-4 on the clay. I think she's now 10-6. So the 10-6 or 10-8, she's done. She's learning to love the clay a little bit more. I don't know how far do you think she could go?
I think she made use of a relatively decent draw for her because even though Osaka obviously is a great player, Madison knows that she has a good record against her and knows how to play her. And she had Dolehide, she had Buzarnescu, and obviously Madison is more experienced at this level than Buzarnescu. So I think that she found the opportunity and she's taking it, kind of like the U.S. Open, where she was just making use of the opportunities she was getting. And I think now she's made the quarterfinals in every slot.
She has.
So good for Maddie.
Well, I did ask her, because it's one of those stats that we always get given in the daily notes. But she actually seemed pretty stoked by the fact that she'd made the quarterfinals. For her, it felt like a real achievement because this isn't a surface that you necessarily think that she'd do well on. And she made us laugh because she said that it's been nice low-key drama. And, of course, her next opponent is all about the drama. And unfortunately, I actually found that the Putintseva and Stritzova match wasn't as dramatic as I felt it could be, wanted to be. But yeah, she's playing it outstanding well. Of course, she put Britain's Jo Konta out in the first round. And now look where she is. She's in a Grand Slam quarterfinal.
I think Putintseva is always going to be the kind of player who can sneak up on you. I think that's just who she is. That is her value in every draw. You never know. You never know, because she is very volatile and there's so much going on with her, but she is a fighter. She's so gritty. And sometimes the players who do succeed against her are the players who are not thrown off by what's going on the other side.
And that's going to be a real test of Maddie's maturity, if she can cope with all the gesticulating and the faces and the dramatic gestures and the flinging of the limbs. If she can cope with all of that and keep her head, she's got a semi-final in the bag, I think.
Yes, I actually think that Maddie is surprising herself with every round, and I think she's just she's taking the ride, seeing where it goes. And I spoke to her in Rome. I remember it was the day before she pulled out with an injury, and she gave me. I didn't think she was going to pull out. I felt like she was going to play the match. So obviously she picked up something with her in practice or whatever, but she was actually feeling good, and she was, one thing she did say even from Roman, that she was living a drama-free time, which I think you can really tell that she's quite calm, she's quite chill. Even though at a slams are hard to it's not an easy place to relax, But like she said that the U.S. Open was completely different because there were night matches and there was so much and it was loud and everything. So I think with here, it's a lot calmer for her, and that's why I think that I feel like she can handle Putintseva's madness, I would say, in a good way. I don't mean it in a bad way. I mean it, the Putintseva show.
That's a good way of doing it. Well, of course, we don't know who's going to be facing Sloane Stephens next, but she completely brutalized Annette Kontaveit. I mean, we've seen, again, flashes of brilliance from Kontaveit. She played out of her skin, and then in her skin, and then out of her skin against Kvitova. And she was just completely outclassed today. And again, Stephens has been completely under the radar. Nobody's been looking at her. Nobody's been talking about her. And I actually really am looking forward to a clash, between Sloane and Maddie again. And they're so sweet together because they're just like kind of, oh, you make me so nervous. It's great to see that kind of camaraderie, but the fight that they bring to the court.
Exactly. It was very nice when she said that like Madison said that when she was watching, obviously Sloane's match with Camilla Giorgi yesterday was crazy because twice Camilla Giorgi served for that match, twice Sloane pegs her back, it wins in the end, 8-6 in the third. So that was crazy. So imagine Maddie watching that. I mean, it's totally understandable that she felt nervous for her friend. I actually would really look forward to seeing an All-American semifinal on clay here at the French Open. It sounds crazy, but if Madison and Sloane make it, it's a rematch of the US Open final. I feel it's really good for the game in so many different ways, because when you saw that final, a lot of people would think, okay, when are we going to see this again late in a slam? If they managed to do it at the French Open of all places, I think it would be awesome. I think Sloane, speaking of opportunity, Sloane is someone who showed that she can maximize on any opportunity she's given. She went and won US Open. She then won Miami.
Yes.
Yeah, so I think that Sloane actually plays well on clay. She loves the clay. She's a very physical kind of player, so her athleticism really helps her on this surface. So whoever she plays next, whether it is Dasha or Woz, you would feel that Sloane somehow can be a favorite in that matchup. So I'm definitely looking forward to the bottom half is the one about opportunity. The bottom half is the one that's not stacked.
Yep.
So yeah, it's I think the bottom half is shaping up nicely.
I think it is as well, and we were all doom and gloom obviously after the first day when we lost Yelena Ostapenko, and everybody thought, well, it's now Svitolina's for the taking. Then we lost Alina Svitolina, but yeah, I think actually this could come out as the best sort of half to be in. Let's show the men a little bit of attention now. I really want to go up to Alexander Zverev and say, okay, I get it now, man. You can win in 5. You really have to stop this. Because my worry is it's really good that he's done all this fitness stuff. But by the time he gets too deep into the second week, he's going to have nothing left. I wonder how much he's going to have left against Team.
I think if you're 21 years old and you don't have enough to play back-to-back best-of-5 matches with a day off in between, then you're doing something wrong. I mean, this is the edge he should have over someone whose team is 4 years older than him. Every year counts for something. So team will have more experience at back-to-back semifinals here, whereas Sasha, for him, Sasha should be able to handle this. Yes, he's played a lot of matches this clay season. I think you would worry more just about the number of matches, the accumulation of emotion. He was very dismissive today when someone asked him, "Are you concerned more about your mentality or your physicality, the mental fatigue or the physical fatigue?" And he was like, "I'm not concerned at all." I don't always buy what he's saying because he should be concerned. He should be concerned and working on it, you know? I don't know how you wouldn't feel mentally exhausted after winning back-to-back titles in, where was it?
In Munich and then...
In Munich and then Madrid, and then making the final in Rome, and then making your first Roland Garros quarterfinal, and winning three back-to-back five-setters. All of this should be addressed. So, and I'm sure his team will tell him how he can deal with this. But I was very surprised at how dismissive he was of the notion that he would feel exhausted at all. Yeah. Maybe it's his way of playing mind games. Maybe it's his way of sending a message to team, "Oh, I am fine." But at the end of the day, physically, I think he should be able to handle it. He's doing so much. He's got Jess Green in his corner. Jess Green is one of the people who made Andy Murray one of the fittest players on earth. So I think that having someone like Jess Green with him, he's put in the work. He's 21 years old. He should be fine.
And the funny thing is, he reminds me a lot of Andy Murray, the scrawny Andy Murray that was all legs, arms, and paws and big hair. Really didn't have the stamina. Then Jez Green came along, literally turned him into the bionic man, and suddenly we saw a lot of stuff. And Sasha reminds me of that because he had a lot of success at Masters level, but he could not get it together at Slams, and then all of a sudden it started to go right for him. Is this the one that we think it's going to go right for him?
He's someone who is achieving a lot at a young age, at a time when the sport didn't have that many young people doing that well. So I think that Sasha's an exception in general because he's 21 and won 3 Masters and all of that. And he knows it, okay? And it's giving him a lot of confidence. Is this the year or not? Listen, Dominic Thiem is experienced. Dominic Thiem is older, is more experienced in this tournament at this level, so you never know. He lost to him in the Madrid final. Thiem lost to Sasha, so I don't really know how much of a factor that is coming into this one. I know they have this mini rivalry going on. They're good friends. One's German, one's Austrian. So on so many levels, they know that even back home, there's a lot of weight on this tournament. And it's the person that doesn't allow the occasion get to him that will make the difference. I remember watching these two I think it was only a couple of years ago on Suzanne Lenglen, and I was so excited about this matchup. And at the time, I was thinking, oh, they're still young. This is a match of the future. And now, all of a sudden, this is a marquee matchup. They're both top 10, and they're both people who can win this title, or at least try and push Rafa. So let me not get carried away. But I would have always picked Thiem to win this match, a best of 5 on clay at the French. But considering how Sasha has just been powering through these 5-setters and you never know. I think that at this point, it's a toss-up, really. Yeah.
And just a quick word. Djokovic continues to play himself into form. I don't think we're seeing his best tennis, but I think we're seeing better tennis from him, if that makes any sense.
I think he's also playing the kind of players who can give him the confidence he needs. Because someone like Roberto Bautista Agut, which was his opponent in the last round, he's someone who has given him a lot of trouble in the past, whether on clay, whether on hard court. He's someone who is tough to beat. And I think that Novak needs these kind of players, whether it's Roberto Bautista or whether it's Fernando Verdasco, whom he beat today. These are the players who will force him to get into so many rallies and are very physical kind of players. I mean, the beginning of that match, that took them, half an hour? The Djokovic and Verdasco, half an hour for 6 games?
Something like that.
Less, it was crazy. So he will gain confidence from all of that, and he gets Cecchinato instead of Goffin, which is such a game changer for him in terms of that draw, because Goffin, personally for me, even from last year, was someone who I tipped to see in the semifinals of the French Open, final of the French Open, and now with the huge upset that Marco Cecchinato had against David Goffin, I think Novak, that's a much kinder draw for him.
Definitely. Let's skip along to a quick look at tomorrow. There's some match that people keep going about, but maybe we'll come back to that in a minute. Things are supposed to kick off with Simona Halep versus Elise Mertens. Now, this should be a good matchup. Simona hasn't had it all her own way. I think she's had to. Well, obviously she's had to work quite hard, but she's getting better as she goes along, and she should win it. But I could see it being pushed to 3.
I think it's going to be I think it's going to be a very, very difficult match. Elise Mertens won a title on clay this season.
Exactly.
Is doing very well, and I think that Simona hasn't necessarily been pushed much. She had an excellent first set against Petkovic, where both of them were playing at a very high level, and then Petko unfortunately hurt her knee in the beginning of the second set, and then it was smooth sailing for Simona. But I definitely think it's going to be a very tight one. It's going to be her biggest test yet.
I think so. Happy birthday, Rafa, and your present is a matchup with Max Martera. And I think let's just move on, because I can't, with all due respect to my German colleagues, I can't see that going anywhere. But, I mean, who ever thought a couple of years ago with Maria Sharapova on a drugs suspension and then followed up by Serena Williams taking time out to have Olympia, we'd ever see this ever again? Who would have thought it?
It makes it all the more exciting because they've been through so much for different reasons, and they're both trying to find their best form. As Serena pointed out, Maria is a bit more far along than Serena in her comeback. We have to admit, simply from time-wise,
yeah.
She has with Maria, she's been back for 13 months or so, whereas with Serena, she only came back in March. Didn't really play great in March, and admitted that it was kind of early for her to come back in March. She had a good 5-week training block at the Muratoglu Academy, but she didn't play any clay tournaments coming in. So a lot of people didn't know, is practice enough? And guess what? I think for Serena, practice is enough, because the way she played against Yulia Gerges in the 3rd round, that was almost looked like business as usual. She did really, really well, because in my opinion, Yulia played well. And Yulia was serving well. Yulia actually exited the tournament as the ace leader of the tournament, honestly.
And lost.
Yes, and lost. So I definitely think that Serena is doing a lot better than many people expected. But at the same time, there are still question marks, because Maria killed Karolina Pliskova in the 3rd round, 6-2, 6-1 in under an hour. So
she's playing some of her best. I mean, since Rome, she's been playing some of her best tennis.
It's still not
perfect.
Classic Maria. I still think that her return game is nowhere near where it used to be, but I also think that there's a little bit more variety in Maria's game than before, and I think she built up a lot of confidence just from the Madrid, Rome, and now Roland Garros stretch. Having said that, a lot of people are getting carried away and saying Maria's finally going to end her 18-match losing streak to Serena. She hasn't beaten her in 14 years. I also think that every time we've had this so much enthusiasm about Maria's chances against Serena always manages just to do enough to one-up her. I think it's a matchup. It will always be a matchup situation. Serena, considering she's playing singles and doubles, I mean, she lost in doubles today, but considering she's been playing singles and doubles every day, if Serena wasn't feeling well, she would have pulled out of doubles. But she didn't. She played a 3-setter today with Venus. Again, I can't remember, against Spaniards, I think. Yeah. Maria Jose Martinez Sanchez. Yes. I love saying that 4 names. But yeah, I think that...
You do it so well.
But no, I feel like people are getting carried away. I still think Serena has the edge, but at the same time, I think it might be closer than we've seen in a long time.
Yeah. Let's just have a quick skip through the names on to follow. We have Cilic and Fognini. Cilic has done his usual under the radar and nobody's seen him, and Fognini, if he cares, he'll play well. If he doesn't, arrivederci Fognini. Schwartzman and Anderson. I love this.
Don't laugh.
I'm not.
Don't be mean.
It's like David and Goliath. It's amazing. Well, and you know what happened in David and Goliath?
Listen, Kevin Anderson and Diego Schwartzman is a matchup that it has one of the tallest on the tour and one of the shortest on the tour. However, I never bet against Schwartzman. I know that Kevin has a good record against him and everything, but on clay, maybe things can be different. And it's actually an exciting matchup for me just because of the complete opposite styles.
Yeah. And
they're great guys. They're both so nice.
They are two of the nicest guys on the tour.
I also love seeing Kevin translate his game now onto every surface, and just he's going deep in the slams, and he's such a nice guy.
Yeah, you want nice things to happen to them. Kerber and Garcia is going to be amazing.
I have a feeling that this is going to be really, really good. Garcia's playing on Lenglen. She loves playing on Lenglen. She actually doesn't like playing on Chatrier. She finds it too big and everything. And Kerber, her win over Kiki Bertens came completely out of nowhere. I didn't expect it because clay is not Kerber's best surface. Bertens was obviously someone we thought can make semis, can go deep. So that was a really big win for her. So I think it's going to be a very interesting match.
And then Isner versus Del Potro.
Well,
I can tell you who the people's favourite will be.
No, I actually think that Isner Delpo entered this tournament he wasn't sure he was going to play.
Yeah.
And every round for him, I feel, is kind of like a bonus. So you can never actually discard someone who's playing with little expectation. I think it's going to be close. Who do you think?
My heart says Del Potro, but I just think that Isner might just edge it because.
And also, he beat him in Miami, right? He's the one who ended his winning streak, I think, if I remember correctly. Yes, so yeah, we might see John Isner get through that one.
Killer. And we end up with Muguruza, who has been in pretty impressive form.
I mean, she's the favorite in my opinion right now. The way she's been playing, no one was talking about Garbi entering this tournament, but she has this ability to flip a switch and just get into Grand Slam winning mode, and she's in it. And in her mind, she knows her next match, if she wins this, would be either Serena or Maria, and she loves just these kind of matchups. She likes to play a superstar on a big stage, and I feel like Garbi's gonna cruise through that one.
All in all, it's a great day. Unfortunately, the weather could play havoc with the...
and actually, the heavier the conditions, you never know. This is how upsets happen.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it pans out.
I am not entirely sure what that is. We've got music. Okay, that's enough. Despacito can go away. Okay, stop now.
Well, every single tournament plays that song, so
so there you go. You have, of course, been listening to Ros Satar
and Reem Abulleil,
and hopefully we'll have the lovely Renee back, and we can actually have you as well. As we're coming to the end, we ought to have a bigger.
Always
field.
a pleasure, anytime.
Thank you for listening.